Teams making their way out onto Knox Regional Football Centre. Winter has well and truly arrived in NPL Victoria Women's. It is a cold and potentially windy afternoon here as FE Emerging take on Alamein. Alamein looking to bounce back from a real shock 5-0 defeat to Bulleen Lions on Monday night. FE Emerging are trying to avenge what was perhaps their worst result of the season last time these two teams met prior to lockdown, a 3-0 defeat. Will it be different today? We are not far away from kickoff, both teams shaking hands out in the middle. So let's go to the teams. Our referee today is Laura Moyer. And we'll start with the home side, even though both these teams call the venue home. Captains Claudia Miocic and Emma Runnels going in for the handshakes and coin toss. But FE Emerging, Sophia Varley in goal. Number 2, Holly Murray. 4, Claudia Miocic. 9, Holly Furphy. 10, Jess Young. 11, Franny Iamano. 12, Caitlin Carriage. 13, Sarah Kane. 14, Leah Varley. 17, Alana Murphy. And 20, Leah Muldeary. For Alamein, their goalkeeper, Beth Mason-Jones. Number 2, Jamila Hull. 3, Mia Lantieri-Bartley. 8, Nia Stamatopoulos. 11, Hayley Richmond. 12, Annie Haffenden. 14, Jennifer Lum. 16, Emma Runnels. 19, Caitlin Storey. 34, Anna Piers-Barlow. And 99, Katrina Nickpour. On the bench for FE Emerging, Kayla Sidzimovska, Bella Stewards, Rosie Curtis, Ellie Vlamink and Ashley Jordan. And for Alamein, Adeline Aiton, Betty Michael, Miette Giorgio, Ondine Giamara and Natasha Inia. As I mentioned, last time they played it was 3-0 to Alamein, but Elena Vatke, who scored one of the goals that day, is not in the FE Emerging lineup. And it's also worth remembering that neither of the Varley sisters, Leah or Sophia, played in that game. Sophia was out with a concussion, so she returns between the sticks. Could that make a big difference in terms of how FE Emerging both defend but also counter-attack? Busy weekend of NPL Victoria Women's, as they all are. And if you are watching from home or out and about, don't forget that the game between Bulleen and Calder United will have just kicked off. We were down for 3 p.m. in this one, but FE Emerging were left waiting on the runway for a good 3 or 4 minutes before the referees and Alamein emerged out of the tunnel. And we will kick off with Alamein in the red, attacking the left of your screens. And Katrina Nickpour, who was one of the goal scorers last time these two teams played, will get us underway here at Knox. So it's Alamein kicking off here against FE Emerging. Really a must-win for Alamein if they want to see finals action this season after their horror defeat to Bulleen on Monday night. It really is starting to get difficult to work out who exactly they'll be able to dislodge from the top 4 if they want to feature at the pointy end of the season. Early touch of the ball for Caitlin Storey, trying to move down the right side of the pitch. Katrina Nickpour backtracking, and Holly Furphy takes over for FE Emerging. And now Leah Varley back to the centre of defence. Of course, this is FE Emerging now without Naomi Chinema. She left to go to South Melbourne. So the back line will function a little differently without her at the centre of defence. Varley and Miocic have been the first choice pairing while Chinema was making her way back from W League duty. So Holly Murray is in at right back today. Another very exciting player, albeit on the younger side compared to many of her teammates. I understand there's no video coming through, just audio at the moment, so bear with us. I'll describe play a little bit more like radio until we get the video up and working. So ball in the centre of the park right now with Emma Runnels, right in the centre circle being challenged by Alana Murphy, and she'll distribute out to the right. Annie Haffenden, another of the goal scorers last time the two teams played, is going to veer in to the top of the box, and then it's taken off her feet by Leah Varley. Varley pushes it out to the left, and Holly Furphy is there. Furphy backtracking into the defensive half. Varley crashes in on Katrina Nickpour, who made it a contest, and Nickpour has won a foul right in front of the coaching bench. Kat Smith, of course, the gaffer for Alamein, and Helen Winterburn for FE Emerging. Rare battle of all-female coaches, which is great to see. And yes, just a reminder that we don't have pictures at the moment, just the audio coming through. So We will call it radio style until we get the visuals up and running. Free kick on the right then. Line of players congregated at the top of the penalty area. And it's a tumbling low free kick that got no elevation at all off the synthetic. And so backtracking to go and try and make amends there is the taker near Stamatopoulos. Normally expect a lot better from her, bit of a surprise miss hit. And so in the defensive half, Alamein consolidate possession and go back to their goalkeeper, Beth Mason-Jones. We'll see if she can make amends for Monday, where she really did go for a wander Liam Reddick style quite a few times in the game and was arguably at fault for 4 of the 5 goals. I know her mum's here, so I probably shouldn't say that too loudly. And the ball goes out now at left back for Alamein and Jamila Hull, who was probably the best player on the pitch last time the two sides played. Absolutely dominant physical performance against the younger opponent. She's going to throw it in backwards down to Lantieri Bartley at left back. Effie emerging, not exactly pressing with ferocity. In fact, they've called off the press at the edge of the attacking third. They're going to let Alamein bring the ball up through Richmond. Passes into the attacking half, albeit briefly. Knocked away by Miocic, and now Murphy passing through the centre. And interception is again made by Lantieri Bartley. And back to the goalkeeper, Mason-Jones. Passes out to Jamila Hull. And now Anna Piers-Barlow, who is playing at left back today for Alamein. Unmissable with a long ribbon coming out of the back of the hair. Muldiri takes over for Effie emerging after a giveaway though. Goes back to Sophia Varley, gets her first touch of the ball. And now Holly Murray at right back. Ball went out for a throw, it seems, so Alamein are going to have possession down at the edge of their attacking third. Piers-Barlow concedes 10 metres to throw it back to Hull. Very left-footed Hull, and drifts this one into the penalty area, and it bounces truly off the synthetic down to Sophia Varley with no Alamein player contesting the ball. We've got pictures back, so that's the good news, and it means I'll stop calling the game like it's radio, and we will go back to normal. If you're just joining us, no scoreboard and no clock, so I can tell you that it is 0-0 between the two teams, and we have ticked over 4.5 minutes in the first half. NPL Victoria women's action from Knox. Very cold today. Potentially could get worse. Good shout starting it at 3 p.m. any later, and I think this would have been really frosty, which Knox does have a reputation for. Here is Piers-Barlow, and there is the aforementioned ribbon, playing it back to Hull. And now Lantieri Bartley in the press. Again, not the most enthusiastic, but Caitlin Carriage is just going to keep a presence and make sure that Alamein pass the ball out at pace. And now ball through the middle. Miocic deals with it comfortably enough. And attempted through ball is intercepted by Claudia Miocic, who sends it over the fence and out for a throw. And just a shout out to Effie Emerging's Administrator Star, not sure what the official job title is, but pretty much does everything and does it excellently. Shana Naidu, who is not here today because she's watching from quarantine after serving on national duty with the Matildas. So hopefully you're not going stir crazy in quarantine. Here's Jess Young for FE Emerging. Block tackle in midfield. Not able to take the ball cleanly though, Storey. So Holly Furphy gets a chance, and then Runnels knocks it off her feet. Not exactly a rush from either team to open. Alamein were a goal in front at this stage last time the teams met after exploding out of the blocks and really taking it to FE Emerging like no other team had done so far this season. A far more tempered beginning to the game today. Almost like the players themselves are trying to thaw as we see a deflected pass here out at left back, and it'll be a throw. So with no Elena Vac here today, Alamein are without one of their main attacking weapons. It'll be interesting to see how they get Jennifer Lum into the contest. We've barely called her name, the number 14. Murphy is going to distribute to the right side. Iamano, one-on-one against Piers-Barlow. Cuts in, still fretting Iamano. Squared, and then Carriage, and that one is scooped out. Definitely not her best effort for what we know she's capable of, Caitlin Carriage, but it is the first shot for either team today. and harmlessly out for a goal kick. Jamila Hull plays it to Piers Barlow at left back. Murray is going to come up and challenge her immediately, and it's good identification of when to start pressing up there from Holly Murray, and gets the throw in as her reward. Quick 1-2 with Alana Murphy, and then there's a rather shameless foul there from Caitlin Storey, not even close to the ball, and clumsy in nature rather than malicious, so just a free kick, and it'll be a set piece over on the right side here for for Alana Murphy, I should say, to swing into the penalty area. Here's the delivery then, another tumbler that falls at the near defender. Iamano couldn't make it work. Murphy trying to get another chance. Plays it back to Murray. Murray's going to look up at the Alamein midfield and go sideways to Kane. Tried to lift it over to the left, but Haffenden intercepted. And now an unkind deflection off Storey. Gives the ball to Jess Young and Holly Furphy, with Leah Muldeary there for company. Muldeary drifting it across the penalty area. Piers Barlow, and up and under clearance. Danger not yet averted because FE Emerging have got the numbers. Murray. Happy to go back to Miocic. And Miocic trying to distribute, but Haffenden, for the second time in a minute, jumped the pass. This time couldn't keep the ball though. Kane. And rolls that one beyond the run of Furphy out on the left side. I'll be doing my best to keep an eye on what's going on around the grounds as well, with that very important game between Calder United and the Bulleen Lions that's going on today. I can tell you that after 11 minutes, Calder are 1-0 up against Bulleen. So the home side looking for a response after a shock loss to Heidelberg United last weekend. Certainly brought a bit of intrigue back into that race for the top four. So on the live table, South Melbourne, who play later this afternoon, on 21, FE Emerging 19, Bulleen Lions 18, and Calder would be leapfrogging them, going to 18 points with a better goal difference. And then there's a big gap of 8 points to Heidelberg in fifth. Alamein would currently be on 11 points on the live table, starting the day on 10 points in sixth. And then the two cast adrift at the bottom, Box Hill on 3 and Bayside on 0. So this is almost last chance really for Alamein if they want to see finals action. They really have to win today and get on a winning streak against the teams above them. This is not good signs though. They're trying to hack and clear it away, and eventually with the aid of a deflection it's going to bounce out to... And I think Emma Runnels has every right to be surprised there, because it looked like an uncontested header, only then to get clattered at the last second. Varley's got a big smile on her face. I suppose Emma Runnels is known as a fierce competitor, so you have to set yourself for any time you take her on. Falls into the veteran category now, Runnels, very much so, having played in the old WPL. Here's Furphy, able to shrug the attention of Haffenden, and goes for a run down the left. Richmond backtracking to help out. Kane moved it on quickly. Alana Murphy in the pocket, and then plays it straight into the feet of Lantieri Bartley. This is Jennifer Lum. She needs to get involved, the American. We've barely called her name in this one, and she's struggling to keep this in here. So she's been isolated up top early in this game. One of the key attacking players for Alamein, carrying a lot more responsibility today, of course, with Elena Vatke not in the match squad. Out to left back for FE Emerging, Muldeary. Smoothly goes around Haffenden. Furphy played into trouble though, going up against Hayley Richmond. See, very aggressive approach, and look at that, clever from Furphy, but not clever enough to keep the ball in while turning away. Still wins a throw for her team though, so got the job done. Just not as stylishly as it would have been had that little spin on the ball been legal. Here's the restart. Varley shanks it straight to Richmond's feet. Now Runnels against Sarah Kane. Trying to lay it off, but Jess Young was first to the ball, and then Stamatopoulos comes back in. And near Stamatopoulos goes to work in midfield. Caitlin Storey. And things slow down a little bit for Alamein. Piers Barlow is pressed right up here on the left and will receive the pass now. Back to Storey. Couldn't quite steer it to a teammate. Murphy, good close control initially, but then loses out. Ball goes over the line for a throw. Lum, a chance to turn an attack. And defers to the left. Slide challenge from Murray. Didn't actually catch the ball, though. And so Piers Barlow, her back pass is intercepted. Iamano was trying to steer traffic. I don't think she was expecting the pass and got caught on the hop. Out for another Alamein throw. Cleared out by Miocic. And the throw into the edge of the box. Miocic's header means Varley has to clear to prevent conceding a corner, and does so effectively. Of course, crowds allowed back at local sport this week. Good to see, at least for an NPL game, a decent attendance of about 100 here this afternoon. Many of them wearing beanies and gloves, just trying to keep warm. And we see Mason Jones roaming out of her area, which didn't go so well on Monday, but so far so good for the Alamein number one. And this game is really waiting for one team to take the initiative and get on top here in the contest. No progress for Nickpour. And then Storey has the ball knocked out from between her feet. Here is Katrina Nickpour trying to turn in. You can see all the white shirts surrounding her in the right corner. So she goes back to Runnels and now to Haffenden, prodding a left-footed pass into the penalty area, and it's held onto by Sophia Varley. Rolls it out to Sarah Kane. Now Miocic to Alana Murphy. Kane in midfield. Just struggled to bring the first touch under control, but still moved it on effectively to Murphy, and her attempt to go through the right, intercepted by Hull. Alamein lose possession though. Storey went to ground. Play continues. And now a nutmeg from Franny Iamano, but then can't keep the ball afterwards. And so Piers Barlow takes it away. Miocic sending the ball left. Maldiri. Was it off the hand? It doesn't matter because FE Emerging retained possession. Furphy, central to Carriage. Back to Holly Furphy. And sees the run of Maldiri. Good attacking play from the left back of FE Emerging. And now Maldiri will steer it back. Furphy. Alamein have got their defence very much set up in position here. So Emerging looking for the right avenue to goal. Murray heard the shout and goes back to Miocic. A long, winding passage of play here, which has gone from the left wing to the right wing all the way back to the keeper. And returns to the player who really got it going here, Maldiri. And then given away. Deflected off Haffenden. Varley says, no you don't. Comes in and makes a quick interception. And so Jess Young can go to work here. Iamano is free as a bird over on the right side, and the pass will find her. Iamano takes it to the edge of the box. Piers Barlow got a foot in. Now back to Murphy. And that pass asking a lot of Leah Maldiri to run it down, which she will. And Nickpour right there on her case, but it's still going to be FE Emerging's throw. Maldiri. And now Young, able to slalom past a couple of players. Bending in across. Carriage can't get to the ball. Hull had her guarded. And it's out for another throw. So now FE Emerging starting to show what they can do when they own possession. Alamein haven't really had a feel for the ball for a couple of minutes now. Clearance by Richmond. So just a series of throw-ins and clearances at the moment. Reminder, if you're watching, that it is 0-0. Muldeary to Furphy. Plays it back to Kane. Lots of shouting going on in the Alamein defence. Trying to organise here. Holly Murray has picked her moment to get forward, but the cross is lacking and sails out for a goal kick. No scoreboard and no clock today, so I will keep you updated at regular intervals. I can tell you that we have crossed 18 and a half minutes now here at Knox, and it is 0-0 between the two teams. Hopefully the sun can go back to hiding behind a cloud, otherwise we're going to be squinting towards the field for the rest of the game, as will the spectators. And it breaks out even more so here for this offside call, so nothing wrong with the assistant referee's vision. Speaking of the linos today, Thomas Dussin over on the far side, Courtney Van Diesen on the near side, and Hans Feliso is the fourth official. Of course, Laura Moyer, FIFA referee, very experienced in both men's and women's football. As a central referee and as an assistant referee, is the whistleblower today. So we're in good hands. Furphy challenged by Nick Poor, and Runnels prevails with the ball. Only Lum ahead of her, though. And rather than wait for the keeper, Miocic wasn't taking any chances. Clears and puts the ball out for a throw. Hurled in by Haffenden, flick header on by Runnels. Varley, it falls in a dangerous area, but no one from Alamein was able to converge on the ball. Murphy gets it away, and Iamano will look up at some open space, sets it in front of Carriage, and Carriage unable to take it with her. Lantieri Bartley apologises, though, as she gives possession straight back to Murray. Hull with a header. Now Kane. Iamano. Back and forth. Effie emerging, get it on the deck. Murray now attempting a long ball. Not sure who was calling for it, because it was all flat-footed attackers as it comfortably goes down to Mason Jones. Just a shove from Murphy. Play continues. Carriage on the turn. Blocked immediately off her feet, though, by Lantieri Bartley. Lum to Runnels. Plays it out to the right, where Haffenden has a bit of space. You see Holly Furphy is sprinting back to try and catch her, but Haffenden is going to take the advantage here and roll it into the path of Lum. Not quite. Goalkeeper Sophia Varley out of her line to claim. And without being patronising, that is Alamein's best attack of the game so far. They haven't got a great deal going. Here's a long ball over the top. Mason Jones out of her line. And in a good clearance, almost kept in by the energy of Piers Barlow, but on that occasion, goalkeeper knew when to pick the moment to come out of the box, playing the keeper-sweeper role. Miocic off the head of Lantieri Bartley. Stamatopoulos to Runnels. And the back pass is going to find its way all the way back to Mason Jones. Richmond, Lantieri Bartley. And that attempted pass straight into the near marker in Murphy, who's going to get the ball back at her feet. And the chance to try and create, rolls it through the left, flag is up. And if you were wondering why Holly Furphy appeared to be in an acre of space, it's because She had strayed beyond the last defender. Game remains scoreless through 23 minutes. Richmond, back pass. Mason Jones hits the sideline, but can't find a teammate, so straight out for an FE emerging ball. Miocic. Ball nodded on. Furphy. And now Young out into space. And too much space for the goalkeeper to proceed into. And again, as the sun breaks out, just a little bit of warmth for both the crowd and the players. It's good control on the head initially by Furphy, but then Hull comes through and makes a contest. Furphy recovers the ball. Look at the run from Muldeary through the left side. Has got the Alamein defence backtracking from the byline. And then cleared away comfortably in the end. Jennifer Lum plays it to Haffenden. Now Stamatopoulos. And saw Piers Barlow in space on the left, so finds her now, but she's wrapped up straight away by Holly Murray, who stopped any progress. And the ball is going to deflect away. Flicked on by Lum. And a well-timed run here from Haffenden. And now it's Alamein's turn to get FE emerging, backtracking its speed. And Haffenden never able to bring a teammate into the equation, though. Good challenge by Muldeary to clear it away. And it broke very quickly, all off the back of Haffenden timing that advance. Chances for Alamein few and far between so far in this game. And they're not proceeding here as Kane knocks that back out to the bench. Lum against Muldeary, deflected down. Still Lum. Leah Muldeary, I say it every game I commentate, but very good one-on-one defender. And not able to prevent the cross getting in this time. Once, twice. It almost set up for Caitlin Storey. Miocic charged through and got it away. Alamein committing numbers forward for a sustained attacking spell. Haffenden, little step over, unable to outfox anyone. Richmond. Storey prods it on. Varley with a header. And now Stamatopoulos in traffic. And eventually knocked off her feet by Varley. Away comes Jess Young. Able to slay them through midfield. What a great little run. And now playing it to Iamano. Flag stays down, but Mason Jones roaming out. And safety first puts it out for a throw. And on the counter-attack, that is where FE emerging could be very dangerous. Didn't quite see it to full effect that time, though. Iamano. Murray. And offside against Caitlin Carriage. Down in close quarters, but still able to stray beyond the last defender. Hull has arguably the most powerful boot on the pitch, able to just clear from defence to attack in the blink of an eye. And then at the fall of the ball, FE emerging, unable to clear. Runnels will fancy her chances, but slipped at the key moment, and that affected the long shot going wide right in the end. 27.5 minutes gone, scoreless here at Knox. Richmond clearing away under the pressure of a couple of advancing players. It doesn't go out though, so Jamila Hull is able to go back and retrieve the ball. Rolls it down to Mason Jones. And now Carriage is just going to go and chase the goalkeeper here, but Mason Jones is calm. Lantieri Bartley's got issues though, gives possession away. And now Carriage, Alamein defence come back to help out. Still space though, Jess Young, and Mason Jones parries it over. Alamein, their own worst enemy there, giving the ball away. And then a very good shot, nearly drawing the first goal of the afternoon. Instead, Mason Jones, a solid right hand to put it out for a corner. And so will FE Emerging capitalise now on a swing in momentum almost by accident, given it was Alamein who coughed up the ball. Murphy to take the corner. In at the near post, Mason Jones bats it away. Claudio Miocic ended up in the back of the net, but the ball didn't. Now Iamano. Alamein with lots of numbers back, as you can see, and they do win possession. Nickpour. And last touch off Katrina Nickpour. And I think guilty conscience there. Murray went running back into defence. Didn't realise that her team had the throw. No, we will stick with the assistant referee's call. And speaking of referees, that pass has gone into Laura Moyer. And so that will mean it's a drop ball for FE Emerging. And play resumes at the feet of Miocic. Out to Murray. Storey happy to knock it out for another throw. Of course, no Lucy Richards for FE Emerging today. We've seen her here in the tracksuit, so missing this afternoon. One of the more senior, older is probably an unkind way to put it for someone who's only 20, one of the more senior players in the FE Emerging team. But as we've seen, Holly Murray is doing an excellent job at right back so far. And she's standing over this free kick here. Not sure she's too keen on hitting it long though, as proves to be the case. Goes to Miocic instead. She tries to load up. Can't clear Lantieri Bartley. Murphy able to keep the ball. And now Young. Again, another mazy run from Jess Young, but had to work it sideways to Iamano. Sends it across. Over the head of Lantieri Bartley. Richmond missed the clearance. And then it's flicked on through the area by Haffenden, who gets it away from Furphy and out to the safety of the touchline. But far from convincing the defending there from Alamein. And FE Emerging maybe feeling as though they're getting closer to the opening goal. Furphy. Ball bounces again. This time Piers Barlow met it on the half volley and drove it out of the box and won a foul for her trouble. And so that will allow Alamein to take a deep breath. Hull, long ball. Nickpour saw the run of Piers Barlow and tried to flick it on. Miocic closed her down straight away. And that's last touch off Runnels, but a chance for Alamein again to try and trap FE Emerging deep in defence. Still 0-0. 32.5 minutes ticked over. Holly Murray right down deep at right back. Got around Runnels, didn't get around Piers Barlow, and now it's going to be Alamein ball. Can tell you around the grounds, Calder have doubled their lead. They're now 2-0 up against Bulleen Lions. So that could be a huge result as far as the title is concerned. I think both teams are fairly safely entrenched in the top 4. Runnels and offside against Katrina Nickpour, and just that little glimmer of a scoring chance is extinguished immediately by the assistant referee's flag. Restart from Varley onto the head of Hull. Stamatopoulos, ball runs on. Sarah Kane intercepts. Kane with space to run and build a bit of speed. Flag stays down for Furphy. Big first touch. Can she run it down? She can't, and that is an anticlimax there. Again, one of the more senior players, Holly Furphy. That first touch abandoned her there and ran away. Lantieri Bartley. Haffenden. And that pass down to Richmond. Ran out of space. Over the line it goes. Holly Murray. Iamano again finding space out on the right. It's all about the delivery though. Hull comes across to try and stop a ball even being sent in. Murphy lifts one and it's volleyed by Young but not goalwards. Goalkeeper Mason Jones committed. And Jess Young made contact but it wasn't goal-bound contact. And Alamein, after scrambling it away, have Runnels trying to take on Murray, and again, Holly Murray, there's no initiation to senior women's football, quite like having to play against a midfielder like Runnels, and she held her own there to win the foul. Murray, and misses Iamano with that pass. And Franny Iamano, interesting that she didn't pull the trigger on trying to send in across there. She is occasionally getting open space on this right flank, but hasn't really challenged with a cross or a shot on a tight angle as yet. See if that builds into her game as the afternoon progresses. Piers Barlow has her pocket picked immediately and then concedes the throw. And then straight back challenging Iamano, but it's out for another throw. Carriage can't control the ball, but then goes in and nicks it off Storey. You see she's got a lot of physical attention here. Shoved to the ground. Play continues. Murray's cross and a good defensive header this time. Haffenden, a very good judge of the ball in the air. And it can be a bit of a rarity in women's football, even at the highest levels. So FE emerging reload with Kane, and now Carriage trying to slip through. Ball sat up and the referee's whistle intervenes, although Mason Jones was out to collect regardless. So not for the first time in this game. It feels as though FE emerging are gradually getting on top. 37 minutes now ticked by of this scoreless contest. A draw doesn't really do Alamein any favours today. If they are going to prize the door to the top 4 open, it's going to have to be by beating and knocking out one of the existing teams in there. It's just becoming increasingly difficult to work out if there is a weak link. FE emerging comfortable 3 points in the bank last week against Box Hill. South Melbourne winning 10-0 against Bayside. and Bulleen winning 5-0 against Alamein on Monday. So the top four looking pretty solid at the moment. Shouts for offside won't go heated. Iamano did well. Out to Murphy on the right. Murphy against Hull. Cuts it back. Murray's in space, as is Iamano. First time ball. Just a scuff. Here's Carriage on the turn, and not for the first time in this half. It explodes out. This time, though, with a deflection, so it will be a corner for FE Emerging. Leah Varley, an obvious aerial target due to her height, but Claudia Miocic, probably a better header of the ball. Murray shows for the short corner, but it appears as though Alana Murphy is going to load up and drive it high to the far post, and it's knocked just wide at the far post. Carriage was up, Varley stayed down, and in the end it's off the shins of Leah Varley out for a goal kick. And so Alamein, now if they were to score, it would very much be against the run of play. They have some pacey players though, so don't rule out a counter-attack. Right now FE Emerging have got them in their clutches, it seems. Jess Young showing that good close control to keep the ball out of a bit of traffic, and then sets a difficult task for Mulderry, but she's able to chase it down. Nick Poor's right there for company, and it's on the lighter side of a foul there from Katrina Nickpour. The referee's still coming in to have a discussion with her, just to warn her off the way she defended Mulderry there. And this now becomes very dangerous because Leah Varley has every chance of dropping this into the net or bending it on one bounce towards the far post here. Players and a deep defensive line lined up to attack this free kick. Varley drifts it to the far post. It's knocked back by Iamano, and then it's all Alamein in the middle. Hayley Richmond getting it away. So can FE Emerging capitalise? They've got complete territorial control of the game at the moment. Match taking place in their attacking half. Murphy, edge of the box. Hull out to greet her. Now Kane. That's an awkward pass for Holly Furphy, and she's almost able to nick it off the toe of Haffenden, but it is an Alamein throw. Haffenden down in the corner, and Furphy is keeping her trapped down there. Kane. Furphy. Jess Young. Jess Young with the cross. Iamano's made the run, and unfortunately it was a teasing ball, but it picked out one of the shorter players in stature well over the head of Franny Iamano. So half-time getting closer, up to 41 minutes ticked over now, still goalless. No score, no clock on the stream today, but hope you're enjoying the coverage. Back pass from Hull all the way to Mason Jones, who will take the opportunity to try and switch flanks. Gee, it's a goal fest at Keilor Park today. Calder 3, Bulleen 1. So both teams scoring since we last gave an update. Kane to Young. Nice touch on the ball and then a spin. Carriage, edge of the box. Being corralled back to goal. Murphy. Challenge came in from Lum, and then Storey swept it over to Runnels. Back to Lum. Varley. And a rare touch for Sophia Varley, and a rare defensive half possession for FE Emerging. Long ball from Murray. Mason Jones out of her line. Took a touch rather than clear it immediately. And then driving it over the head of Lum. And then Murray back to Sophia Varley. I know I've said that it hasn't been a great game from Jennifer Lum. I'm actually starting to wonder, is she 100%? Because, as we see a foul here, she is absolutely labouring. You can see the heavy breathing out there at the moment. So I don't want to go too hard on the performance if she has come into today under 100%. Furphy out into space. Young becoming more and more of a threat as the game goes on. Left-footed cross, Carriage at the near post. Iamano is there, but no real power behind the attempt. Still needed a save from Beth Mason-Jones and the fans with a smattering of applause to show their appreciation. FE Emerging would love to score before half-time. Alamein have 2 minutes plus stoppage to try and hold out and then maybe regroup during the break. FE Emerging, they know how to do this. Wave after wave of attack. Iamano now to Carriage on the turn. Can she free? Having to break out to the corner. Carriage looks up at Lantieri Bartley and then just tries to take her on. And as both teams appeal for the ball, it is going to be a corner. So the corner strategy so far today from FE Emerging has been high to the far post and then all of the attackers wait at the edge of the box and run in late. This time it seems as though they're going to put a few more players in the 6-yard area. So we might be seeing a variety here. Let's try and anticipate this. I suspect it might be going near post rather than far post. Let's see what Alana Murphy has cooked up this time. It's far post once again. Mason-Jones comes out and it found the feet of Stamatopoulos. Can Alamein counter-attack? This really would be against the run of play at the end of the half. And you see Murray putting in the strides to get to the ball first and clearing it away. Hull, Lum and Muldiri with a big clearance. Richmond off the knee, straight to Jess Young. Carriage against Richmond, and Richmond, well, is forced to put it out for a throw. So FE Emerging will try to capitalise here. Time increasingly against them at the end of the first half because the fourth official will lift the board and show only 1 minute of stoppage. Furphy and Muldiri linking up on the left, and a rather gratuitous shove in the back there. Richmond making no attempt to disguise it, so another late free kick, and again, Leah Varley with the curving right-footed in-swinger. It could really make this dangerous at the end of the half. Once again, don't rule out either a direct shot on goal or the slider that finds its way in. FE Emerging will feel as though it would be no less than they deserve. Alamein with a big defensive stand here at the end of the first 45. 2 in the wall. Here goes Varley then. And went direct rather than try to bring teammates into it. Claudia Miocic was bundled over off the ball, but referee not interested in the slightest. And if Mason-Jones takes her time here, that should take us to the end of 1 additional minute at the end of the first half. No, going to play it quickly. So we've got about 10 seconds to go. Time enough for FE Emerging. Welcome back to live pictures from Knox Regional Football Centre. We're at half-time. It is 0-0 between FE Emerging and Alamein. I can tell you that around the grounds, Calder 3-1 up against FC Bulleen Lions. And at Lakeside, a bit of a later kickoff, but South Melbourne have already opened the scoring against Box Hill. And after scoring 10 last week, who knows, they might be in dangerous goal-scoring form again. We would do well for one goal here, though, after a first half that got off to a very slow start and then finished with FE Emerging getting on top. The question is, will they continue the momentum straight after the break, or with the chance to regroup, can Alamein look a bit better in the second 45? Anna Piers-Barlow taking on Holly Murray here. Just unable to outrun her in the end, and Murray recovered, putting the ball out for a throw. Sun breaking out across the ground again. It's going to make it a little bit difficult to look to the right of screen. Storey snapping at the heels of Carriage. Ball spills to Murray, who tries to curve a pass, but no teammates there in the vicinity. Knocked central. Storey out in front of Lum, who lifts a left-footed ball into the box, but once it went past Nickpour, there weren't really any other opportunities for Alamein to create a shot. Stamatopoulos recovers possession and now plays to Richmond. Stamatopoulos, Haffenden, Annie Haffenden cutting in on the diagonal and legged by Sarah Kane. So this is a good opportunity here. I wonder if the left foot of Jamila Hull will be engaged for a direct shot, maybe a bit too far out, so they're going to stick with Stamatopoulos here. Emma Runnels and Annie Haffenden, the obvious targets for an aerial ball. Some of the delivery from set pieces today hasn't been fantastic by both teams. We'll see if they can lift the standard here. Stamatopoulos then, looking up at two in the wall, and sends that high to the back post. Haffenden would have done well just to keep it in. Instead, it goes out for a goal kick. No clock and no score on the stream today, so I'll keep you posted. I can tell you that we're now 47 minutes down, and the score is 0-0. In fact, I can start at the second half. We've got the scoreboard back, so that's good news. Hope you're enjoying the live coverage. Sophia Varley to take the restart. You see there a number of Alamein players positioned them around the penalty area for the short pass, but Varley decided to go long. Furphy just pondering what to do and gives up possession as a result. Richmond. Stamatopoulos. Dispossessed by Young. And good work in close quarters from Murphy to Kane. Furphy trying to take the ball in stride. And Haffenden leads her to the ball. Back to Mason Jones. Mason Jones, just an awkward short pass here, putting the pressure on Richmond in a 1-on-2 and didn't leave her too many options other than to hit and hope. And so it goes out for an FE Emerging throw. Neither team has turned to the bench in this game. We haven't had any cards either. It's really just a blank score sheet in every respect at the moment. Kane tried to play it through Lum, and the little grabs of the shirt from Nickpour end up getting sanctioned here. Varley looking to take the free kick quickly, but the options weren't to her liking, so now she might load up and hit it to the edge of the box. And a bit of foxing going on because she plays it sideways to Miocic, and now back out to the left. Muldeary, Haffenden, grappling. Muldeary refusing to be beaten. Haffenden eventually comes away with the ball and has Richmond in support. And now Stamatopoulos. Central to Storey. And a promising through ball is going to find Piers-Barlow. Has Iamano right there with her and Iamano takes the ball off her feet. Good pass initially, but Piers Barlow just lacking the conviction to go on and take the ball into the penalty area. And now Iamano, after doing some defensive work, is exploding out in the other direction for a counter-attack. Not much going on ahead of the ball, though. Waits for Carriage to get wide on the right, and now we've got Furphy running through the middle, but Carriage yields possession to Lanseri Bartley. Off the head of Murphy. Brought down by Storey, who falls over on the ball, and then the referee generally tends to blow up on players who shield and sort of just turtle over the ball like that, but Storey's got away with one, so saves her blushes, and Alamein keep possession. Lanseri Bartley back to Richmond, and Richmond to Jamila Hull. Spoke to Elena Vatke at half-time. She's been out for a month with bone bruising and is unsure when she'll be making her return. So Vatke's out. Emily Harbus played in the under-19s earlier. Very much only a pinch hitter at senior level if she does play these days. Player with a fairly torrid injury history of her own. And foul is whistled on Haffenden there. Muldeary made sure the referee heard about it. And so free kick to FV emerging deep in defence. Not much activity on the bench either. They're all rugged up in their tracksuits and hoodies rather than going for any sort of a warm-up. So neither team planning a sub just yet. Given away by Muldeary. Goes in and immediately wins it back. Young can't keep the ball this time. She had it glued to her feet in the first half. Not so on this occasion. Haffenden lifts across. Miocic waited. Lum came in late. Miocic did get the ball in the end. Misses out this time, though, and a big fresh air swing. And interestingly, that is the first card of the game going against Claudia Miocic. It's really more an accident than anything, but the referee's saying that the big swing of the right foot, missing the ball and catching a bit of the player, draws the first booking of the afternoon. Just taking a look back on the stream here at the replay. It's a lot easier, of course, to re-referee with the aid of the stream. Yeah, I'm not so sure it's a yellow. It's definitely a foul, though. Near Stamatopoulos, this is her range. Player who's been... Restart from Sophia Varley. Drifts it out to Furphy. Definitely hasn't been her sharpest game, Furphy. At her best, she's a player that can shift the lines and dribble players, but we just haven't really seen that today. Varley with the restart. Straight to Richmond. Runnels, a header. Storey. Now Miocic uses the left foot this time to find Kane. And the attempted back pass to Murray gets there, rolling off an opponent in the end. And Murray just tries to go long down the right. Hull intercepts. Crossfield pass. Muldeary, the diminutive Muldeary, and that ball just got a bit tall on it, and all she can do is head it out for a throw. It's probably dropped another 3 or 4 degrees since the halftime break. If the wind picks up, it's going to be seriously cold. Thankfully, just a light breeze at the moment here at Knox. Murphy. Stamatopoulos. Sees Piers Barlow making a run on the left. Piers Barlow rolls it down towards Storey, and that was right into the wheelhouse of Miocic, who cleared it away. This is arguably Alamein getting on top, but they're still not really turning it into a direct threat on goal. And they go backwards here. 4:20 in the afternoon here in Melbourne, and the lights are already being brought into effect. Update around the grounds. 16 minutes gone. South 1, Box Hill 0. And we've got Bayside Heidelberg today as well. Can tell you that after 48 minutes, Heidelberg lead 2-0 over at Kingston Heath. And FE emerging now on the build. Furphy to Murphy. Carriage, flag stayed down, but she didn't take the ball with her. Alamein defence recovered to nick it away. Lum to Nickpour. Runnels. Oh, that header broke the wrong way as far as Alamein were concerned. And not for the first time in this half, Caitlin Storey just goes and hatches the ball. Play allowed to continue again. Referee just letting the players sort it out between themselves. And it eventually finds its way back to Beth Mason-Jones. Can tell you over at Keilor Park, it's still 3-1 to Calder United. Solid header from Varley. Runnels turning. Nickpour got a touch, but FE emerging defenders closed ranks. And Muldeary just kicks for distance this time. Richmond. This is to the liking of Kat Smith here. You can hear her shouting from the bench, good, because her team is retaining possession at the moment. Nickpour. Can they turn it into a shot on goal? That's what they're lacking at the moment. Piers Barlow is being left to roam free on the left. The problem is that as soon as a defender comes out to take her on, it gets a little more tricky. Lum. Squeezing it back towards Piers Barlow, but Miocic is there first and drives it low. Did it take a deflection? I think Laura Moyer initially was pointing left, but indeed it is going to be Alamein's ball. Hull lifts the ball high with that left foot. Nickpour up and under header. Varley to Muldeary. And now Furphy from very deep. Haffenden has worn her like a glove on that flank today. And she yields possession. Wonder what they're thinking on either bench. Here's a sub in order. Both teams with fairly inexperienced squad depth today. Iamano loses out here. Looking at the benches, FE emerging backup keeper Kayla Sitsimovska, Bella Stewards, Rosie Curtis, Ellie Vlamink and Ashley Jordan. And Alamein, Adeline Aiton, Betty Michael, Miette Giorgio, Ondine Giamara and Natasha Inia. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Adeline Aiton at some point. Could be a player that could help Alamein just stay on top in the midfield tussle between these two sides. Hull, again, stutter step run up and then tries to pump it as long as possible. Didn't quite hit it flush this time. Still gets into the attacking half though, and Nickpour is on the run. Lum ahead of the ball. An interrupting foot from Miocic was very necessary that time. And that looked like a handball, and indeed Runnels will get blown up for it in the centre of midfield. And the wind picks up. If anything, it's favouring the end that FE emerging are attacking. Swung over to Muldeary, takes on Haffenden. Muldeary to Sarah Kane. Steered to Murray. Now Murphy to Kane. Underhit pass and intercepted by Haffenden to Nickpour. And as she drifts further forward, this is where it's been breaking down for Alamein. And Nickpour forced to slow down, waiting for Storey to come through. And then Varley, no nonsense, just launches it long. But Mason-Jones, keeper sweeper, living out of her line. Bit of an awkward pass, but Richmond made it work, and now things calm down at the feet of Lantieri Bartley. Murray. Murphy has not been anywhere near as prominent in the second half as she was in the first 45. But this attacking chain is working for Iamano. Nicks around one defender, steers it low, sliced, danger for Alamein. That could have gone anywhere, and out for a corner is the result off the left boot of Hayley Richmond. So first half, FE Emerging effectively just bombed the far post with 4 or 5 corner kicks. Let's see if they mix it up or if it's a similar order here. Alana Murphy, and it's going to drop at the far post. Carriage is there, opening space on her right, and her road to goal was blocked by a number of players, Haffenden among them. Haffenden back to Richmond. Oh, Runnels left it behind. Jess Young, a shooting channel opens, and Mason Jones is down to save the ball. And again, an errant pass out of defence was Alamein's potential undoing there. Beth Mason Jones able to make the save. Haffenden caught by Furphy, but the line rears up and it's going to be an Alamein throw. Stamatopoulos, Runnels, Varley, and Muldeary jumped the pass, got there before Haffenden. Hits it into space. Carriage is going to have to dig deep and try to pick the pocket of Lantieri Bartley, who steers it back to Mason Jones. Kane. Well played by Murphy to get to the ball first in midfield. Alamein benches up and going for a warm-up. FE Emergings stays seated. Mason Jones, wide out to the right. Haffenden. Richmond, blocked by Muldeary. Stamatopoulos, her turn to try and clear the lines now. And, oh, very clever. Through the legs, almost an accidental nutmeg of Jess Young there. Stamatopoulos able to get Alamein into some open space as they switch to the left flank. But Hull's pass runs beyond Piers Barlow. Oh, looked like a bit of a foul throw there from Murray, but play allowed to continue. Storey goes back to Lantieri Bartley. Mason Jones and Murray pressing all the way up the right back. Can't win the ball for her team though. Muldeary. Haffenden, back pass, Richmond. Lantieri Bartley. Runnels. Trying to really use the neck muscles to force that header forward. Lum and Miocic quick to intervene. Piers Barlow coming through the left side at the byline, keeps it in. And now Lum, the shooting chance here for Alamein. Lum, and it holds up in the 6-yard box. All the power was taken out of the shot. Muldeary clearing once, twice. Alamein sensing the opportunity to try and force the issue. And they can't do so. Away comes Caitlin Carriage and FE Emerging. Breaking through the left side. Furphy making a run. Carriage will use her. Nothing happening in the middle though. Furphy will look up and go back to Carriage. Carriage off the referee. Flag goes up in any case. Iamano was coming back from an offside position, but surely if she wasn't offside, that took a fair old deflection off Laura Moyer. And so there seems to be a bit of debate going about the drop ball. Should be Alamein possession. FE Emerging get possession. Young. All the way back to the centre of defence. Storey puts it out into the Alamein bench. It seems as though the players going for a warm-up has been accompanied by Alamein getting a bit of a talking to from Kat Smith. I'm not sure if that means she's coming on just yet, though. In the meantime, Iamano with a cross. Jess Young, left side of the box. Taking possession. Muldiri, shut down immediately by Nick Poor. Furphy combining with Muldiri. Haffenden just volleys away. Carriage. Touch showed the ball to Runnels, and then she went back and slid once. And then you heard the clash of boots against shin guards there as Lantieri Bartley went in for the ball. But FE emerging through Kane, and now Murphy will break through the right side. Iamano. Into the box she goes. Hull right there with her. Iamano hasn't wanted to cross it when she's been stood up by Hull today. And case in point, ball is cleared. Oh, Runnels had a bit of a window of opportunity to break. And now the midfield tracks back for FE Emerging to catch her in possession. Lum still does well. Just drifting forward now, though. The attack slows down a little bit. Piers Barlow down in the left corner as the sun breaks out. Apologies if this is making it a little bit difficult to see what's going on at the right of screen. Play goes out for an Alamein throw. Well done by Lum again. Able to break through the left side of the box on a tight angle. And it's turned behind for a corner. So Jennifer Lum has had two quite promising chances through the left side of the box. One of them a shot that got blocked, and on that occasion steered behind for a corner kick. Stamatopoulos steps out her run-up to the ball here at this corner. To a central position, and glancing header away from Alana Murphy is the clearance. Holly Furphy gets the better of Richmond on this occasion, and breaking central is trying to swing it across the pitch. Piers Barlow's header, brought down by Murphy. And Murphy hits it straight to Hull. Headed by Miocic. Furphy hits an early pass just as Runnels was about to crash in. Storey. Nick Poor. Storey does well. Runnels. Lum's breaking, and Lum gets to the ball first, and Alamein score. And it is the player who looked most likely for them, Jennifer Lum, who has toe-poked it in. Alamein 1, FE Emerging 0. Well, she was really struggling in the first half, Jennifer Lum, but she's come good here in the second. And now, FE Emerging have the gauntlet thrown down because we've got just over 20 minutes remaining plus stoppage. And it's Alamein who've taken the lead. Credit to Emma Runnels as well, hitting the long pass. That just bent very nicely into the path of Jennifer Lum. And then Varley, well, as a young goalkeeper, a learning experience. I think a more adult, more experienced keeper might have had the physical intimidation factor to go and dive at the feet and win the ball. But this is a young team, FE Emerging, and goalkeepers, well, they certainly don't peak as teenagers, so that'll be a learning experience for Sophia Varley. Do FE Emerging have a response? Through ball, Mason Jones off her line, Carriage gets there, wiped out, referee is going to whistle, and will this be accompanied by a card? Mason Jones protests her innocence, but Laura Moyer reaches for the back pocket, and Beth Mason Jones has come undone. Red card. Immediately after scoring, Alamein are reduced to 10 players, and they may protest, but there is no respite here, and this is going to make it very interesting now. Not least because Alamein do not have a specialist goalkeeper in their subs, and so Jamila Hull does have a history of playing women's AFL. She might be the obvious candidate to go in goal here. We'll have to wait and see who they decide is going to take up the gloves and become keeper for the rest of the game. Mason Jones said she got the ball. I think the replay will be very closely scrutinised as a result. That's what I'm going to do right now. Just take another look here. It was the through ball from Young. Carriage got to the ball first. Gee, it's hard to say at full speed. Might take the advantage of being able to slow down, which you can now do at even 0.25 speed on YouTube if you are watching on YouTube. So you can be your own replay director. There's a real conference going on. It's almost like an unofficial timeout here. They might be scrambling to find another goalkeeper shirt, Alamein. Mason Jones left the gloves out on the field. Might have had to go inside, take off the goalkeeping top and bring it out. So I'm watching the replay back here on the stream at 0.5 speed. Carriage gets to the ball first. You know what? It's a really tough decision because Mason Jones gets a bit of the ball, but then a lot of the player. Just watching it back one more time. I think, I think it's a good call from the referee. Definitely clattering Caitlin Carriage with the feet. And so Laura Moyer's decision is final regardless of how much forensic work we do on the replay. It's worth remembering that Alamein have got a foothold in the game and something to hold on to here. What I'm wondering is why on earth are we having such a long delay? All right, we've come to a resolution. They've found an orange goalkeeper top. And so the sub is going to go through. Katrina Nickpour is being sacrificed here. It's interesting that they are turning to the bench. So it looks as though it's Natasha Inia who is going to play in goal for Alamein. They hadn't turned to their bench yet. They had Ella Nathan, Betty Michael, Miette Giorgio and Ondine Giamara as their other subs. So this can go one of two ways. Either FE Emerging will romp to a big win, or Tash Inia is going to be the hero. I don't think there's any middle ground. First priority is they have to deal with the free kick. So, after a very long delay, we restart, and Murphy is going to hit the crossbar, and what an introduction it is for the goalkeeper, holding onto the ball. Tash Inia nearly beaten in the very first phase of play after coming on. Luxa Fortune, it hit the underside of the crossbar, and she clings on, and so the score remains 1-0 for now to Alamein. We're going to have a lot of stoppage at the end of this because the red card, let's take a look back at the clock. The red card happened in the 70th minute, and we are now in the 75th, so we lost about 4.5 minutes. So you'd think if you're being fair, we should be looking at 6, if not 7 minutes of stoppage at the end of this game. Be interesting to see just how closely the fourth official paid attention to that. Key thing for Alamein is they are currently in the lead, holding on to 3 precious points. Murphy steering at central beyond the touch of Carriage. Holly Furphy is there and is closed down straight away by Haffenden, who is still having a very good game for Alamein's cause. Leah Varley, the header broke almost square off the side of the head and goes out for an Alamein throw. And every time the ball goes dead, they are going to be trying to wind this back to walking pace here, Alamein. Holly Furphy is just limping a bit, so I wonder if that's something she's picked up today or a pre-existing concern. Leah Muldery as well, is she bleeding? I think the eagle-eyed assistant referee is just saying, is that blood or is that dirt? It must be dirt. Play continues. Ball hit to the centre of defence. Will FE Emerging make a change? That's the other question. Are they going to make a switch that'll try to exploit Alamein being down a player? Nick Poor coming off was playing up top, so the obvious sacrifice for Alamein is just to play Jennifer Lum on her own up there. Looks as though the paperwork has come in from the FE Emerging sideline, and it might be, from the looks of it, Ashley Jordan, who is getting ready to come on, as Caitlin Carriage commits a foul here on Emma Runnels. And now Runnels takes a seat. The ball is booted away. It's going to be a time-wasting how-to here from Alamein to try and get to the finish line in this one. We are at the 77th minute. Paperwork is coming on the sideline, so we're going to see a FE Emerging sub relatively soon. In the meantime, just a kick for territory, and Muldery to Furphy. Wouldn't be surprised if she's the player that makes way. Caught in possession here by the goal scorer Lum. And that's blocked out by Muldery. And the sub will now go through. Board goes up, and it is Holly Furphy who's coming off. Leave to the near side, Holly. Yes. And over on the opposite side to the pitch, on comes Ashley Jordan. So very much a like-for-like sub. It hasn't been Holly Furphy's day, and I just hope that she was looking a little bit proppy in the last minute before this sub has gone through. So hopefully not an injury, maybe just a bit of soreness or an off day. Here's Young. Murray. Just an attacking, aggressive pass central for Murphy. Arno wins the foot race against Piers Barlow and then ran out of space against the byline, but still gets a corner. Gee, tight call. I thought Piers Barlow might have done enough, but it is going to be a corner kick. And so this will be another hair-raising situation here for Tashania in goal. FE Emerging congregated around the top of the 6-yard box. Here comes the corner kick from Murphy, just drifting away, and a solid header from Runnels. Kane slices that one off the outside of the right boot and out for a goal kick. So far so good for Alamein, down to 10. Lantieri Bartley out to Piers Barlow. And if you think back to the end of the first half, it really became a half-field game in the last 10 minutes before half-time. FE Emerging haven't been able to recapture the territorial dominance and the flow that they had in their play, as we see them overcook that throw in 1-2. If it happens again, it is going to take a defensive rearguard of great commitment and concentration from Alamein to preserve this 1-0 scoreline. I wonder if they are thinking on the bench about Betty Michael, who, if you're going to be pinned inside your defensive half and limited to the counter-attack at best. Could she be an answer to come on? Deflection here off Young, and goalkeeper Ania identifying the opportunity to come out and claim the ball. Again, she's almost a one-player team out there at the moment with the support she's getting from the sidelines. Tash Ania. Baldiri. Back to Varley. Trying to open out the field, and options here for Miocic. She's going to use Holly Murray over on the right side. And bending ball straight into the goalkeeper's hands. But yeah, just to finish that point, Betty Michael, very quick, and could be the answer for Alamein here if they are going to have just one attacker up top for the remainder of this one, just to maybe keep FE Emerging on their toes rather than committing everyone forward. And well, Alamein will be perfectly fine with passes like that out of the reach of Liam Aldiri, and the body language of FE Emerging starting to become one of frustration. It's not just going to happen for them. Here's Jordan to Kane. Now Murphy. Murphy shoots from distance, and I think, in a sense, having a non-goalkeeping goalkeeper is actually starting to affect the thinking of FE Emerging here, and every time they get the ball, they're starting to think when and where is the shot rather than trying to create a good shot. Inia takes the goal kick short. Richmond. Kane brings the ball down, hurdles past, and it's Adeline Ayton who has indeed been subbed on for Alamein, making another change, trying to crowd the midfield. Probably a good tactical call from Kat Smith. Ball through the left from Young. Jordan is there, but apprehensive to take on Haffenden, who hasn't taken a backward step in this one. And Haffenden puts it out for a throw. Young lifting across into the box. Murphy goes up, and it barely glanced off her head. Looked good with the technique right up to the point that the ball actually hit the head, and then it all just slipped away. Anna Piers-Barlow is the player that... Oh no, she's still on. I'm trying to work out who Alamein subbed off here to bring on Adeline Ayton. Looks as though it was Nia Stamatopoulos who has come off. Iamano. Lantieri Bartley clears. Murray takes the throw. All of a sudden, we're up to 83 minutes. Attempted through ball. Lantieri Bartley is there. It's worth remembering that FE Emerging didn't score in the first head-to-head with Alamein either. Is Caitlin Carriage in trouble in terms of a card here? No, just a foul for the late contact on Lantieri Bartley. Now, if I'm the fourth official, I'm giving 6, if not a minimum of 7 additional minutes, because we lost 4 minutes alone for the Beth Mason-Jones red card and then replacing her as goalkeeper with Tash Ania. Will the fourth official feel the same way? The wind has picked up, the sun has gone back behind a cloud, so the temperature has dipped again here at Knox. Lum down in the corner, taking on Murray, able to get the better of Murray ever so briefly, and then Holly Murray got back goal side and puts it out for a throw. This will suit Alamein. It's down the right end as far as they're concerned. And rather shamelessly wasting time here, running Anna Piers-Barlow all the way up from left back to take this throw in. And they're taking it down to the corner very, very early. This is going to be just an absolute grind of all grinds if they try to start taking it to the corner Still 5 minutes of regulation to go, plus who knows how much stoppage. So the corner gets played short. FE Emerging just lacking the streetwise smarts here to capitalise on this situation, I think. Alamein are trying to prey on their naivety here. It's a foul throw. Referee lets it slide, and so the shenanigans continue down in the corner. And then it's booted out for another corner kick. I always wonder in this situation why players don't set up behind the byline and then run back into the field of play to tackle the player that is protecting the ball. And the corner played short again, so this time it's a goal kick and a bit of breathing room to go into for FE Emerging, but the clock is Alamein's friend at the moment. We have ticked up to 86 minutes now. And really, other than hitting the crossbar, we haven't had a really noteworthy chance for FE Emerging since Beth Mason-Jones was sent off, as we see this long ball again down to Anir, who holds on. Puts it on the ground before kicking the ball away. Varley charging through. Ashley Jordan, central to Kane. Can't find a teammate. Hayley Richmond comes through. Good trap by Holly Murray, and then almost gave the ball straight back to Runnels, but Murphy makes it work. Switching over to Varley. Muldeary. Back to Varley. They're not advancing the ball here, FE Emerging. Now they are. Murray's pass to Murphy. Nice little sidestep, but again has to retreat. They're not daring to take the game on here, FE Emerging. Alamein happy to sit deep in defence. Here's the cross. Near post flick header from Carriage. And could not keep it down. Caitlin Carriage puts it high and over. And at 87.5 minutes, Alamein, this starts to become the countdown to victory. How many minutes of stoppage will there be? Restart from Lantieri Bartley, straight down to Murphy, and now Iamano. Aiton is there, Jamila Hull, and the lone hand up front, Jennifer Lum, is just going to run and try to take it to the sideline. Shouts from the Alamein bench, but cleanly dispossessed, and so Sophia Varley plays it to Leah. Alamein, for the most part, drop back, and that pass is overhit. And again, they're just not getting it right, FE Emerging. Haffenden, who has pretty good claim to being player of the match today, here at right back. Runnels just powers a header down the sideline and out. 90 seconds of regulation to go. Still 1-0 to Alamein. Jennifer Lum's goal, the difference between the teams. Kane out into space. They've just lacked aggression though, FE Emerging. Murray, pass intercepted by Piers Barlow, and then kept the ball, collapsed on the ball, and ends up slinging it out for an FE Emerging throw. Murphy turns around Aiton. Oh, it's great balance from Murphy. Iamano cross in, but no one attacking the ball at all for FE Emerging, and they get the corner almost as a little bonus because there wasn't a white shirt in the vicinity. Miocic and Varley come forward. We're into the last minute of the 90. Paperwork coming in from the Alamein bench to try and waste a bit more time, but they'll wait until after this corner to make the sub. Can FE Emerging grab the equaliser right here into the big pack of players, and a good header away by Runnels through the penalty area. Young concedes 30 metres back to Muldeary. Now Murphy, only 5 minutes of additional time. And I have to say, given that we lost 4.5 minutes to the Beth Mason-Jones red card, it is a bit hard to believe that the rest of the half would only have 30 seconds of stoppage time. I think They've done Alamein a massive favour, but they've still got to hold on for 5 more minutes. Iamano. That's a good run from Franny Iamano. Hits the byline. Young! No power behind the swivel. It hit her more than she hit it. FE emerging. Oh, and Lum gets in just to knock the ball away and waste time and frustrate FE emerging that little bit more. And now we've got a player down, and the wily veteran Runnels knows exactly what to do. So the board will go up. We're going to have a sub. Alamein. Well, are they going to go ahead with the sub with Runnels down or not? Her number's the one that's come up. So it's going to be Miette Giorgio getting stoppage time. And again, the trainer comes out and tries to treat Runnels' cramp on the field. Laura Moya attempting to police this situation. I think Alamein have moved into firm favourites here. We just haven't had the evidence from FE emerging since the red card that they know how to unlock this Alamein defence, even with an outfielder in goal. And so after quite the shift, Emma Runnels is aided to the bench, and Miette Giorgio will come on for stoppage time. So the restart with a drop ball. Young. Miocic. Kat Smith very vocal on the sideline, instructing the team to keep their defensive shape. Murphy, again, forced to go backwards to Murray. And now Alana Murphy loads up across. It's all red shirts, though. Look at that. Barely an attacker in the vicinity. And Alamein repel once more. They just haven't got this end of game situation right here, FE emerging. And Alamein, again, milking the clock. 2.5 minutes of the allocated 5 have now ticked by. Kane. Lum. And just kicks for territory. And bending that off the outside of the right foot means that it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling and eventually finds its way out. So FE emerging with possession in open space. Mulderry up to the halfway line. Decision time though. Can they find a way through this crowded Alamein midfield and defence? Jordan attempting to challenge Haffenden, but Haffenden again sticking to her task. Puts it out for a throw-in. Mulderry down in the corner. Murphy. Kane calls for the ball. Does she fancy a long shot here? Sarah Kane, and did not hit it well. Again, just rolling across the laces a bit, catching the outside of the boot, and even though it did dip, it was a bit of a floater, that one. It's not the best of Sarah Kane. And again, Alamein survive with a 1-0 lead still intact. And this will take us into the last minute of stoppage time. They've nearly done it. Hull hits it high and long. FE emerging. They're just about out of chances. They have to execute cleanly now. Storey sliding in. Aiton out to right back. Murray. And then Hull. Exactly the player they want on the ball, just to roost it long. And that's actually gone too long. Down to the keeper. And so Varley puts it on the ground. This is it, now or never for FE emerging. Alamein could almost reach out and touch the win. Carriage rolled Lantieri Bartley but did not keep the ball. Alana Murphy, is she the one to create the opportunity? Hits it low. Carriage can't keep the ball. Laura Moya takes a look at the watch. This might be it. Long high ball into the box. Oh, and it bounces in! Holly Murray has scored, and she looks as bemused as anyone. It is heartbreak for Alamein at the end, and Holly Murray is the heartbreaker. Combination of an outfielder in goal and a synthetic surface, and that is the cruelest of equalisers for Alamein. They were nearly there, and they have been absolutely denied at the last by the unluckiest bounce you can imagine. We're beyond the 5 minutes of stoppage. We've played an extra 30 seconds, and so now FE emerging. Laura Moyer, I think, is taking charge here. I trust her watch more than the fourth officials, to be honest. She looks at her watch again, and we continue to play. They couldn't do it again, could they, FE emerging? This would be not so much a robbery, just incredibly, incredibly cruel. Bouncing ball into the box. Here's the chance. Young! Saved! And Ania gets to be the hero after all. And not Jess Young's best shot. Throw in here from Muldiri. FE emerging. Sensing the chance to take all 3 points right at the close. Giorgio defending from the front. And they go backwards. That's just begging the referee to reach for the whistle when you do that. But Varley, quick to advance forward to the edge of the box. Hull is there. Laura Moyer, whistles in the mouth. And it is full time. Alamein so unlucky. It was nearly a heroic stand. And even then, although Tashania was largely culpable in the equaliser, she still got to be the hero and save them a precious point at the end. FE emerging miss out. They won't believe they're only leaving with a draw. It's all over at Knox. Alamein 1, FE emerging 1. And so, after it was Jennifer Lum who put Alamein in the lead, Beth Mason-Jones red carded almost immediately after. And then it wasn't until the very last 95th minute of stoppage time that Holly Murray's speculative long ball bounced over the goalkeeper and in for the equaliser. On behalf of our broadcast partner, Sportscast Australia, my name is Teo Pellizzeri. Thank you for your company from Knox. And we leave you with that full-time score. FE emerging 1, Alamein 1.